Thank you, Sandy. And welcome, everyone. I'm doing the first piece of the welcome this morning just to let everyone know that Emily's mother had a stroke on Thursday, and she is expected to make a full recovery. And we want to thank Sandy for filling in for Emily, for coming back to fill in for Emily this morning. And I want to offer my usual special welcome to folks that are watching online, either on one of the cable channels that covers us or on our YouTube channel. And we are now broadcasting live on Zoom. That's kind of been hooked up. We're having a little trouble this morning with the Wi-Fi in the building, so I want to ask everyone here to turn off your phones so that you're not taking up some of the bandwidth. We're thrilled to have everyone here this morning, and I will let Nicolette come up and finish the rest of the welcome.
Good morning, everyone. I will be turning my phone off as soon as I'm done reading the welcome script. So good morning. My name is Nicolette Chasse. My pronouns are she and they, and I will be your friendly worship associate for this morning. I am delighted to welcome you here, whether you are just visiting us this morning or are a regular comer. Please check in with one of the greeters if you have any questions. Today, we acknowledge that we are located on a place that was once the Wampanoag village of Patuxet. We strive to follow their example and be faithful stewards of this sacred land. Today's theme for our service is Now is the Time. As Art just mentioned, our service is being filmed live, so hello to the people who are watching on Zoom. The video will be edited to exclude our joys and concerns to respect the privacy of our community members when this service goes up on either Facebook, YouTube, or on public access television. Today's service is being presented by the Reverend Art Lavoie. Our service is being filmed by Lydia, for whom we are very grateful, because we would not be able to have live Zoom without her hard work. And today's live music will be offered by Sandy. Because our services vary from week to week, we do suggest that you visit us again to get a better understanding of the full depth of services that we offer. If you are a visitor, please consider signing our guest book, which is in the foyer up front, so that way you can receive our weekly e-blast and learn a little bit more about our community. We also invite you to join us in coffee hour after the service. It's a wonderful opportunity to partake in both fellowship and delicious treats. And if you are interested in helping out with that in the future, please talk to Julia Thomas, who I'm sure would be more than happy to have you signed up for an upcoming weekend. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever you believe, wherever you are on your journey, let us walk together this hour. And our call to worship today is by Paul Robertson. I shall take my voice wherever there are those who want to hear the melody of freedom or the words that might inspire hope and courage in the face of despair and fear. My weapons are peaceful, for it is only by peace that peace can be attained. The song of freedom must prevail. I invite you all now to stand and join us in our hymn, Siyahamba, the words of which are in your order of service.
And I'm going to sing the Zulu. I don't anticipate that many of you know that well, but please sing along if you can, and then you can join us when we sing the regular verses. When we sing the regular verses, the word marching will be replaced by singing and living when we sing a second and third, sing that verse through the second and third time. That one word gets replaced. Oh, please remain standing. Sorry about that. I wasn't here last week and I listened to you. Could I have our child slater come up? And love is the spirit of this church, and service is love. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, to speak the truth in love, and to help one another.
Yes.
On the stand or just
hand. Just hand. Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
So one of our principles has to do with social action. And I was wondering if any of the younger people can think of what social action means. Any guesses? It's a tough thing to think about. What about causes? Doing something for a cause.
Like maybe doing something for like a reason.
Doing something for a reason, that's a really good explanation. What are some things you think that we should do to make the world better? I know you guys talk a lot about picking up trash on the beaches with me, right? What are some other things that we could do to make the world better?
You, not, don't put, stop.
Stop polluting? Uh-huh, that's a good one. Anybody else have ideas of what we could do to make the world better?
Listen to one another.
Yeah, listen to one another. Any other thoughts? Stop harming the bees, yeah. Any other ones? Ooh. How many feel that there's so many causes it's hard to choose? Can you do it all?
I don't think so.
No. No way. So it's, you have to make choices, don't you? So today with the kids, we're going to talk about how you make choices to make the world better and what you decide is best for you to help make the world better. And so, because you didn't know this until this very moment, I decided that a way to help you choose your cause to make the world better is to practice by choosing a chocolate concoction to donate to the auction next week. How's that for a pause? Sound good?
It's a good one.
So as we go on our journey of learning and discovery, we're going to vote on chocolate. How's that sound? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine.
Our reading today is an excerpt from Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King Jr.'s letter from Birmingham City Jail. In April 1963, Dr. King was in jail in Birmingham, Alabama, after having been arrested in a nonviolent protest. 8 moderate white clergymen had published an open letter asking civil rights leaders to allow their cause to proceed through the courts and to abandon nonviolent actions that they were engaged in. In response, Dr. King wrote this letter, some of which we will read here. You deplore the demonstrations that are presently taking place in Birmingham, but I am sorry that your statement did not express a similar concern for the conditions that brought the demonstrations into being. I am sure that each of you would want to go beyond the superficial social analyst who merely looks at effects and does not grapple with the underlying causes. I would not hesitate to say that it is unfortunate that the so-called demonstrations are taking place in Birmingham at this time, but I would say in more emphatic terms that it is even more unfortunate that the white power structure of this city left the African American community with no other alternative. You may ask, why direct action? Why sit-ins? Why marches, etc.? Isn't negotiation a better path? You are exactly right in your call for negotiations. Indeed, this is the purpose of direct action. Nonviolent direct action seeks to create such a crisis and establish such creative tension that a community that has constantly refused to negotiate is forced to confront the issue. It seeks to dramatize the issue that it can no longer be ignored. History is the long and tragic story of the fact that privileged groups seldom give up their privileges voluntarily. Individuals may see the moral light and voluntarily give up their unjust postures, but as the theologian Reinhold Niebuhr has reminded us, groups are more immoral than individuals. We know through painful experience that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor. It must be demanded by the oppressed. I have almost reached the regrettable conclusion that the greatest stumbling block in the stride towards freedom is not the white citizen counselor or the Ku Klux Klan, but the white moderate who is more devoted to order than to justice, who prefers a negative peace, which is the absence of tension, to a positive peace, which is the presence of justice. Shallow understanding from people of goodwill is more frustrating than absolute misunderstanding from people of ill will. Lukewarm acceptance is much more bewildering than outright rejection. We must come to see that human progress never rolls on the wheels of inevitability. It comes through the tireless efforts of and persistent work of people willing to be co-workers with God, and without this hard work, time itself becomes an ally of the forces of social stagnation. We must use our time creatively and forever realize that the time is always ripe to do right. Now is the time to make real the promise of democracy and transform our pending national elegy into the creative path of brotherhood. Now is the time to lift our national policy from the quicksand of racial injustice to the solid rock of human dignity.
There's no place in this world where I'll belong when I'm gone, and I won't know the right from the wrong when I'm gone, and you won't find me singing this song when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't feel the flowing of the time when I'm gone. All the pleasures of love will not be mine when I'm gone. My pen won't pour a lyric line when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't breathe the bracing air when I'm gone. And I can't even worry about my cares when I'm gone. And I won't be asked to do my share when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't be running from the raindrops when I'm gone. And I can't even suffer from the pain when I'm gone. And I can't say who's to praise and who's to blame when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. And I won't see the golden of the sun when I'm gone. And the evenings and the mornings will be one when I'm gone. And I can't be singing louder than the guns when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. All my days won't be dances of delight when I'm gone, and the sands will be shifting from my no place in this world where I belong when I'm gone, and I won't know the right from the wrong when I'm gone, and you won't hear me singing this song when I'm gone. So I guess I'll have to do it. Oh, I guess I'll have to do it. Oh, I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here. So I guess I'll have to do it while I'm here.
In the late winter of 1854, Anthony Burns escaped from slavery in Alexandria, Virginia, by hiding on a ship bound for the north. He arrived in Boston at the end of March. At the time, there was a thriving African-American community in Boston, and there were several other people who had escaped slavery. Many of them were able to hide in plain sight, so to speak, and avoid being captured. Anthony Burns was not so lucky. He was not the first fugitive slave arrested in Boston and returned to his owner, but he would be the last. You see, in September of 1850, the U.S. Congress passed the Fugitive Slave Law. The law not only provided for the return of fugitive slaves, but also required federal marshals, not just bounty hunters, to assist in their capture. Anyone who aided an escaped slave or interfered with his or her arrest was subject to fines and imprisonment. Why did the U.S. Congress pass such a law? Well, the Fugitive Slave Act was another attempt to hold the country together. The Congress and the country were locked in increasingly virulent and polarized rhetoric around slavery. In some ways, it was a similar time to our own, as the future of our democracy is once again threatened by angry and polarizing discourse, some of which is once again centered on people of color. Back in the 1850s, the abolitionist movement was very strong. There were hundreds of enslaved people, especially from border states, who had escaped to freedom in the North, threatening the economic viability of the slave system. At the same time, California was petitioning to enter the Union as a free state. This compromise allowed for California to become a free state while strengthening the laws that would aid in the capture of fugitive slaves. Abolitionists in Boston began organizing immediately in resistance to the law. Theodore Parker, the Unitarian minister, was one of the founders of a vigilance committee designed to protect the colored inhabitants of Boston from any invasion of their rights. It didn't take long for Anthony Burns' so-called owner to learn of his whereabouts and make efforts to reclaim him. Marshals came to Boston, arrested Burns, and confined him to the federal courthouse. Word of the arrest spread quickly. Handbills announcing the kidnappers are here appeared all over the city. Slavery opponents hastily dispatched letters seeking support from abolitionists in other towns. The pioneering black lawyer Robert Morris and the white lawyer Richard Henry Dana, both active members of Boston's Vigilance Committee, volunteered to defend Burns. 2 days after the arrest, close to 5,000 abolitionists, most of them white, gathered at Faneuil Hall to debate strategy. A smaller group, mostly black, men and women met at the Tremont Temple, where they decided to act. They would march to the courthouse and free Burns. Many from the Faneuil Hall group joined them. A small group of blacks and the white ministers Theodore Parker and Thomas Wentworth Higginson used a huge beam to create an opening in the door of the courthouse. Guarded by U.S. Marshals, the attempt to free Anthony Burns was in vain. Order was restored, but only after one deputy was shot dead, several men wounded, and 13 arrested, including 3 Unitarian ministers, Theodore Parker being one of them. On the day of Burns' departure, an estimated 50,000 people filled the streets of Boston between the federal courthouse and Long Wharf. There were 1,500 Massachusetts militiamen, the entire Boston police force, 145 federal troops with cannon, and 100 special deputies assigned that day to keep the protesters from interfering. Black crepe covered store and office windows, and American flags were hung upside down. Protesters suspended a coffin across State Street with the words "Liberty" painted on its side. Theodore Parker, the radical transcendentalist, abolitionist, Unitarian minister, and the others arrested for resisting the capture of Anthony Burns were eventually tried, but the case was dismissed on a technicality because of the overwhelming popular support in Boston for the abolitionist cause. No one really knows what happened to Anthony Burns after he was returned to slavery. Many of the people in greater Boston that participated in that movement knew that the present moment, the now, was the time to stand against the capture and return of Anthony Burns while also knowing their efforts might be in vain. They recognized the sentiment that Dr. King expressed over a century later in his letter from the Birmingham City Jail when he wrote, "We know through painful experience that freedom is never voluntarily given by the oppressor, it must be demanded by the oppressed." Our quest for justice will always be a long and arduous journey and may not be realized in our lifetime. But now, the present moment, is always the time to act for justice. We will take several steps forward and be shot back by forces of bigotry and white supremacist ideology. But we know, in the phrase that Dr. King made famous, that the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. That statement, by the way, was originally written and spoken by Theodore Parker, the radical Unitarian minister that I mentioned in the Anthony Burns story. Dr. King studied and admired Parker's writings when he was a student at Boston University. Luckily for all of us, King gave those words new life in the 20th century and beyond, and made them a symbol and a pledge of the civil rights movement and so many justice movements that have emerged since. But this work isn't easy. Some of us may have felt at times like the ministers who admonished the demonstrations of the civil rights movement. We are taught by our white supremacist culture that things should happen in an orderly fashion. We often hide from and avoid some of the messiness of life. We may also come from families and communities that don't understand our social justice ideals. And we risk being ostracized by people we care about. I remember the first time I was involved in a public protest. I was a senior in high school. It was a Catholic high school. The bishop had suddenly fired one of the most popular teachers in the school with no due process. That teacher taught courses on ethics to seniors, and he sometimes used provocative materials to engage us in ethical dilemmas. Now, for those of you who are old enough, you'll remember the comic George Carlin. Some of you may have to look him up online. But the reason that this teacher was fired, we were told, was because he played the recording that George Carlin made. Everything was on records, LPs in those days, of George Carlin's routine of the 7 words that you can't say on television. He used that recording to spur an incredible conversation about free speech, its strengths and limitations, government control of speech, how to handle hurtful speech, and so much more. It was deep and rich. After his firing, the school erupted. There were assemblies, protests by students and teachers, and general mayhem. The organizing student group decided that they would stage a protest outside the bishop's residence on Good Friday. Dozens of students and many faculty participated. I had grown up in a very conservative home, and my father revered church authorities as if they were gods. I thought there might be a chance that I would be disowned if I participated in this demonstration. But called by my emerging religious values, I knew that I had to. I made plans to spend a couple of nights at my grandparents' house to give my father some time to cool off. I was terrified when I took the bus into downtown Springfield that day. This was right here in Massachusetts, in Springfield. But I knew deep in my soul that injustice had been perpetrated and that I had to stand with my peers and be counted, though we knew the teacher would never be reinstated. And I can guarantee you that Dr. King is right. Transformation, either personal or societal, doesn't happen on its own. It takes commitment and diligent work to see ourselves and the world differently. The arc of the moral universe may bend toward justice, but it doesn't bend on its own. It takes all of our commitment to continue that work of justice and to help bend that arc. The time is now, in the words of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., to put off the yoke of whatever oppresses us individually and collectively, so that we might look on the world with new eyes and see what is before us. The time is now to deeply discern our religious values and with each other's counsel and support, continue our work for justice. The time is now to be engaged in the work of saving our democracy. The time is now to stand with refugees, immigrants, folks who are without homes and food, siblings of color and differing backgrounds and economic statuses who are being targeted. The time is now to be with those whose reproductive rights are being denied, as well as those in the LGBTQ community who are threatened by attempts to deny civil rights and gender-affirming health care. The time is now to continue our work to protect this planet from the destruction that we continue to cause and which ultimately will hurt and destroy us all. The time is now to open our minds and our hearts to wherever the search for truth and meaning takes us and our fellow travelers. This engagement with each other, with our values, will make us all whole. Amen. And blessed be. Our closing hymn this morning, number 149, Lift Every Voice and Sing, is often referred to as the African American National Anthem. Please stand and sing with us, or rise as you are able and sing with us. Please be seated. Your commitment to this congregation is full and rich and deeply appreciated. At this point in our service, I've got to hear Bob. We will now collect your offerings, your financial offerings, for the work and mission and ministry of this congregation. Please be seated. Our chalice is running low. I am going to turn on my phone because we are, if there are people, our practice now will be if there are people who are on Zoom watching the service who want to offer a candle, they can text me, lavoie.art@gmail.com. Most folks in the congregation know how to text me, or have my phone number. 617-413-8791 is the number, and they can participate in candles that way by sending me a message. Okay. And we have come to the moment in our congregation where we share with each other the joys and sorrows, the concerns and celebrations that have touched our lives and our hearts since the last time that we met. And I'm going to start off with a couple of candles. Just about gone out. I light the first candle, and I light a final candle for all of the joys and sorrows and concerns and celebrations that we're holding in our hearts. Let us pray. You know, I love the line, God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, from that hymn, Lift Every Voice and Sing. That many of us don't use God language, but sometimes our tears and cares and sorrow is pulls us down so deeply that we reach out beyond ourselves to each other, to the universe, to whatever we claim as our spiritual support. For help to get through. Sometimes our cries are answered in some way. Sometimes we don't feel that they are. But we know that reaching out is good and important and holy and necessary. We know that we can never do any of this alone, whether it's living or the justice work that we engage with. And so our prayer today is both to look at how deeply we are called into the whatever is the work of our lives, and to know where we get the support that we need to make that happen. Let us pause for a moment of our own prayer and reflection. Can I ask people to rise, willing and able, in body or in spirit? And we've done this a few times before, where we sing, "From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live." And I invite you to either turn across the aisle or turn to somebody that you're with, that you want to sing this to, and share this moment as our song of inspiration. We'll sing it through twice.
From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live. From you I receive, to you I give, together we share, and from this we live.
For our benediction, I will repeat some of the words of Dr. King. We must come to see that human progress never rolls on the wheels of inevitability. It comes through the tireless efforts and persistent work of people willing to be co-workers with God. And without this hard work, time itself becomes an ally to the forces of social stagnation. Go in peace, everyone.